Saks is acquiring Neiman Marcus. According to NPR, Saks Fifth Avenue's parent company, Hudson's Bay Company, is buying Neiman Marcus for $2.6 billion in a merger that would create a dominant upscale department store in the U.S. Amazon will take a stake in the new combined company, slated to provide technology and logistics as part of the deal, while another tech partner, Salesforce, will also be a minority shareholder. And the head of Saks.com, Mark Metrick, will run the new combined firm, Saks Global. Chris, what do you think of this new merger between Saks and Neiman Marcus, and particularly the Amazon tech angle that comes with it?
Wow. Whenever I see these headlines, and I think I've talked about this on the show, but it was a while ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago. I'm always reminded of what Bob Ulrich, the former CEO of Target, told a bunch of
Mm.
senior buyers and me when Kmart and Sears got together. And he said, I'll never forget, he said, and two wrongs never make a right. And that's kind of what I think about this, but I don't think the two wrongs are as egregious as they were in the case of Sears and Kmart. I don't
Okay.
think they're in as dire of straits. So I think this is more like circling the wagons or strength in numbers in a lot of ways. But
Mm-hmm.
long term, other than like bringing two of the most sought after luxury department stores together, I don't really see any major value here from the combined entity. I don't see what what the plus up is at the end of the day.
Sure.
And then on the Amazon angle, last week they were copycatting Shein. We talked about that on the podcast ad nauseum. This week they're investing in a luxury entity. I mean, you got to pick which side you're going to be on here, Amazon. You can't play both sides of the equation. And so to me, I think that part of this story is a little bit of a nothing burger, honestly. And long term, I do wonder if Amazon ever is going to make a dent in high end fashion, which, honestly seems unlikely at this point to me, given the history that we've seen from them over the past 10 to 15 years, particularly. So that's my take. I don't know. You have anything,
I
any
I
unique color to add there? It sounds like you
I
might.
I do. I mean, I think the Amazon angle is less about them trying to get into the luxury space and more about them trying to sell their back end like tech platform, and really using like
Yeah.
even things like buy with Prime being available on these sites like Saks, Neiman Marcus, like all these things
Yeah.
are still taking 3 to 5 days to get to consumers for standard shipping. So I think that there's
Yeah.
some benefits that Amazon could provide from a back end perspective. I really think it's less about them being like a luxury destination, because I agree with you. I don't think that's a possibility. But I do hope that with this merger that we see them join forces and scale back. I think it goes back to me. It's
Interesting.
reminiscent of, what happens when you go to Paris and you go to Le Bon Marche or Samaritan, or like any of these department stores, really kind of, I would say, echoing the only other place that we have in the US that's like that, and that's a Bergdorf that still has that like
Right.
feeling and nostalgia, and like it's a destination. I'm curious if Saks and Neiman can come together and really start to scale back the number of stores that they have and the
Hmm.
resources that they're allocating with this merger, and really figure out how to get back to like being that destination place, where you can provide the full department store experience, and less about like spreading 85 Saks stores across the country, because I think luxury shoppers are just shopping differently.
Yeah.
They like the
Hmm.
destination, but a lot of the stuff, they have a lot of opportunities to get that stuff online. And I don't know that you need that many bricks and mortar locations.
Yeah, or go smaller like we've seen other people do. I think your point's really interesting because I was thinking about, it's funny, overnight I was thinking about like how keyed up you were to go to like the Gucci outlet mall in Barcelona. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah,
And like,
right.
and I don't think in all our travels you've ever been like, I need to go to Saks, I
Right.
need to go to Neimans this weekend. And so, I think you could create that type of flagship experience, but at the end of the day, there's still publicly held companies, and like that's not going to be good for growth if you consolidate that much too. So I still
Right.
wonder about the long-term prospects here. And me thinking about how you shop, particularly for luxury, not to say that you're a sample size of one, of course, but
Hmm.
I think it is emblematic of how people are thinking about this space now in terms of, what drives them to places. And I just don't think they have the cachet anymore. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I think it depends.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist how it is currently. Like it's not going to be successful how it exists currently. I think it really has to go back to, and I think I look back to Le Bon Marche that we went to in Paris, where it's
Yeah.
like you have the luxury brands and you still get that experience, the browsing, the inspiration experience. But then like in the same building on the fourth floor, you have a total floor packed full of resale goods. You have the luxury consignment, like the next entry point for people to get inspired and then go upstairs and maybe like have that. But it definitely requires a strategy shift from Saks and Neiman's. They can't just exist as is.
Yeah. And extra credit to you, Ann, for trying to do the French pronunciation during that headline. That's always an aggressive move. So I always try to steer away from that. But kudos to you for going after it. I highly respect that.